What's going up, guys? Danny here, back again with Undead Evo, and today I'm starting a new series called Leave It to Danny, and today we're going to be doing a Photoshop tutorial using Blur, and I've been requested this by a couple of people now, and I thought I'd get into it. So today I just thought I'd let you know a bit about what I'm going to be doing. And to start off with, I am by no means a professional, but I'm well educated within this program, so don't take everything I say as this is the only way to do it. There must be other ways to do things. This is just the way I do it, and people seem to like it, so I've got a couple images here, and yeah. So first off, I'm going to start off with this image, and I think I'm going to start off with one of the most basic ways of doing this. People have been asking me, how do I get it so like for instance this guy would be in focus but the rest wouldn't be. So there's one way of doing this. Obviously I'm aware of layer masks and stuff like that, but one way to do this is to press Ctrl J to duplicate the layer, go up to filter, blur, Gaussian blur or Gaussian, however you'd like to say it. Then this is how much you want to blur it. So I would recommend a slight blur, or if you want to proper go for it, like blur it as much as you like, but I'm going to go for around maybe 3.8. That seems good. Okay, now next off we're going to go to eraser tool and set your size to maybe just an appropriate size, and your hardness all the way down to 0. This feathers the brush, so for instance if I did that, you can kind of see how it's maybe feathered off a bit. It is a bit harsh, so I think, let me just check, is there any way of me change this? No, maybe just increasing the size of it increases the feather as well. So the way of doing this is, if I want this guy to be in focus, I erase this layer. So you have the two layers, you have the top layer which is the blurred layer and the bottom layer which is the focus layer. So you can erase this. This is maybe for a less noticeable, more busy image you can use this on. But remember, with cameras you have an area of focus rather than just a point, maybe depending on your aperture. And for instance, if this guy was in focus, anything in line with him would technically be in focus as well. I believe, I'm not 100% sure, but there you go. For instance, he is blurred out, or he is not blurred out even, and you can obviously mess about with the blurriness by lowering the opacity of the layer depending on how blurry you want it. So obviously you can get rid of the harsher effects by lowering the opacity. As you can see, it is a bit less noticeable. And yeah, that's one way of doing it. Okay, next I'm going to start off with this method, which is a built-in method. If you have ever heard of tilt shift, it is mainly used in miniature photography, I believe. So to get to this, you go to filter, blur gallery, tilt shift. Now the way this works is, this is your focus point, and as I believe this is the edge of your blur, and this is your feather. You can also rotate it, and obviously control the blur here, but you can also move the sliders here, and your distortion for instance is like how pixelated it is. It is kind of hard to explain, I'd have to show you, but as you can see you can drag it out. So this is good for like a 3D image where maybe you have a street, but unfortunately I don't have any of them. But this can also be used to focus maybe like a lane like that. So if you bring it up like that, you can move the feather away like that. Same thing again there, and obviously this part is still in focus. Anything along this line is still in focus. You can change the blur, and vice versa. Then you want to, I always tick high quality. I don't really know much about this, but you can change the focus maybe as well, so how well focused it is on this part of the perspective. Click OK, and that applies it to this layer. It might take a second. There you go. Obviously you can make sure you duplicate this layer beforehand and have it below, and you can obviously change the opacity the same as before. With this image, changing the opacity changes how well you can see the blur. Okay, next I'm going to show you progressive blur, and I have researched this myself. I've never actually used this before, but it's always great to see. Maybe field blur, that's it. So from what I've researched, if you have an object at the top, maybe, oh, there we go. There we go. So as you can see, this area is in focus and this area is blurred, so this is more progressive. So you can lower the blur, and as you can see this whole area is blurred, and you can change it. So if you want, say, this area to be in focus, this area to be blurred, but the rest of this image to be clear, then that's how you do it. Obviously, same thing again, blur can be changed here or elsewhere. Also, I just want to mention now that there is a slider here, so to let the light bleed through right there, and same with the colour. They're quite interesting effects, but you can play about with it to your own demise or whatever. So same again, you can click high quality and OK, and that will give you that blurred image after processing, like that. And so finally I'm going to show you the motion blur tools, in particular the path tool and the rotation tool, I believe. I'm not 100% sure. Obviously I've stretched that. Again, filter, blur gallery, path blur. Now how this works is it uses the arrow to choose where to move it. Obviously this is mainly going to be used in maybe motion blur, etc. So say if I wanted it to make it look like it was moving forward, I might do it like that in a way. Obviously you don't have to move this anchor point. Your speed is how fast they're going. You can kind of see how it goes. Taper kind of tapers it off to a point. And obviously you can mess about with the settings, but obviously you might create a few artifacts by changing other things, but I'm just showing you the basics. Alongside that, there is also the spin blur. Maybe you have a wheel or something, you can put this on top of the wheel, move the feather of it even, sorry, and obviously the mount, angle, whatever. So there's that one. Now I'm going to come to possibly one of the most important ones, iris blur. Now this is used if you would like to choose a certain point of a picture in particular, that makes your eye focus on it. Obviously you can change it, move it, etc. in different directions, expand it. This one rounds off the edges, and these are the feather again, so you can change the blurriness as well. This works well, I've found, on maybe like environmental images. So if I believe I had a Destiny one before and I aimed it on a door off in the distance, and that worked quite well. But obviously you don't want to over blur things too much so it has a harsh finish on the edges, but you want to blur it just enough so it gives contrast to the image. So that's one way of doing it, and there you go. Obviously it takes a while to process, my computer's pretty fast, but as you can see his face in focus and the rest isn't. Again, another way of doing this is by using this same process, but instead of basically combining them. That's the best way to think of it. So I have this image and that image, I can go up there and do the blur gallery, for instance that one, maybe like that, maybe lower it a bit. So you have that, your focus right there. You can click OK, and you can also erase this one. Again, make sure your hardness is down to 0, it just cleans it up a bit, so maybe if you wanted like that. I haven't quite figured out how to make this more feathered so it's softer. The only way I know about that is hardness. So, but yeah, thank you guys for watching. If you have any suggestions as to what you would like to see in another episode of Leave It to Danny, then let me know. But other than that, thank you guys for watching, and if you have any questions, leave it in the comment section below. Leave a like, and yeah, bye.